Today's topic is pair bonding, casual sex, and its effects on the brain. The reality is, if you sleep around enough times, this will make it very hard for you to permanently bond with someone. Well, how could that be? Well, I'm going to explain it in this video. I've got a very interesting article which I'm going to share with you guys, and I'm going to read it from top to bottom, break it down, and give my thoughts along the way. Now, I will also leave a link down in the description and the comment section of the article so you can read it yourself. Now, this topic was requested to me by a female subscriber. Her ex had monkey branched on her with a friend of hers, and since then she's been recovering and she's been educating herself on dating and relationships, and basically wants to become a better version of herself. Now, I'm going to read to you her comment and then we'll get right into the article. She said, "I'm a woman and education is so important to me. I'm always looking at ways to improve all aspects of my life. Genuinely, being monkey branched has shifted my perspective and standards to a whole new level. Thank you for providing such informative, valuable content. You have really kept me afloat after I walked away from a cheater. I'm still very heartbroken, but will only expect the best from a man moving forward. I just watched your video on a signs a woman is high quality and realized I match all of them. So I will not be entertaining anything less on his side. Praying for my future husband. Thank you again, Christian, and looking forward to more quality material from you, Hannah." So she's obviously a good woman. She's feminine. She's got good values, and she wants to educate herself so moving forward she can avoid getting involved with the wrong man or giving her body to a guy who's just going to use her. With that said, let's get right into the article. So whether you are a man or a woman watching, this video is really going to educate you. And especially for the ladies watching, if you're young, you want to really pay attention, because if you start living a lifestyle of casual sex, you will ruin your ability to connect with a man. No high value man wants a woman that has been ran through. And guys, also if you engage in this lifestyle, it will also damage you and ruin your ability to pair bond as well. So with that said, let's get right into it. So the article starts off, and it's written by a woman called Tracy Luke. I do hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She said, "I've always been the ride or die kind of girl. If you could unlock the achievement of getting into my pants, I will take a bullet for you. I'm open to trying many things, but only within the confines of a committed relationship. And I take my relationship seriously, passionately. Although nowadays, I can't help but feel like I'm part of a growing minority. What do I always tell you guys? Good quality women are not going to sleep with you right away. They're going to test you and only give their body to you once they feel safe and comfortable around you." Right? And what did this woman just say? She's open to trying many things, but only within the confines of a committed relationship. And she feels like she's a group of a growing minority because, thanks to certain ideologies, feminism and such, women are encouraged to sleep around, to value monogamy even less, which is in the process ruining their worth. Dating apps aside, with topics such as Netflix and chill, is a connotation that is very telling of our current views of sex. A modern code word and invitation for hookups, sounding like a leisure activity for when you're bored on a weeknight. I have friends who have friends with benefits. People married with kids sleep around on the side. Some even cross borders over the weekend for a booty call, one swipe and one flight away. Thanks to the advancement in technology, finding casual sex has never been easier. But what's more, it's increasingly seen as a cultural norm. Is it all just fun and flings, or does it affect us in ways that are more than meets the eye? Very, very true statement. And this is what happens when a society has moral decay, which is really what's happening in the West. Sex is seen as something trivial. It's like going out on a weekend, having a takeout, having a bite to eat, having something to drink. It's really been reduced from something that was intimate, something valuable, something that men and women used to cherish in the confines of a relationship. And now it's seen as just something you can get anywhere, right? Like swiping right on a dating app, or going online and 2 clicks away you order something from Amazon and it arrives in a couple of days. It's become just as easy as that. So the actual value of intimacy and sex has decreased, it's been eroded. And that's very true. So the next paragraph is called Love and Sex in the Brain. Biological anthropologist Dr. Helen Fisher suggests not to have sex with someone unless you're prepared to fall in love with them. We're going to see why. In her work outlined in the video, Casual Sex Doesn't Exist, which, by the way, these are all with links, so when you read through the article you can click it and watch the videos and all the different scientific facts and articles that are presented here. So in her work outlined in the video, Casual Sex Doesn't Exist, she speaks on how humans have evolved 3 brain systems when it comes to finding and, most importantly, keeping a partner. So we have 3 brain systems according to Dr. Helen Fisher. Number 1, the sex drive, craving for sexual gratification. Number 2, romantic love, elation, giddiness, euphoria, and craving of passionate, obsessive love, limerence. Number 3, attachment, feeling of calm and security with a long-term partner. And this is something that is extremely important to women. Every single female, for you guys watching, understand, she's always looking for security and safety from you. Can you protect her? Will you take care of her? If you get her pregnant, will you stay or will you leave? This is why good quality females will always test you. They're not going to spread their legs right away because they know they're the ones that fall the risk of being pregnant, not you. It's their responsibility if they decide to open themselves up to you or not. Which is why a woman with values, with standards, is going to think twice of giving her body to you right away. And it's unfortunate because there are a lot of females out there who, they're good girls and they really, really like a guy. And they're scared that if they don't sleep with him on the first date, he's going to lose interest. When in reality, ladies, the only type of man who's going to lose interest if you sleep with him right away is a low value guy who's just leading with his lust. Because I'm telling you right now, a guy that's masculine, a guy that's happy and fulfilled in his life and in control of his emotions and of his lust, isn't going to be interested in sleeping with you right away, because he himself is going to want to test you to see if you're even worthy of being with him, because he's busy, he's productive, he has a life that's happy, whole and complete. He's going to be looking at you as, well, are you even good enough for me? You see, high value men have high standards, and so do high value females. That is what you must understand. Let's carry on with the article. It is possible to be in love with someone before sex, or the opposite occurs when you catch feelings after doing the deed. There is no control over which brain regions would light up, leading to romantic love or attachment. Any of these systems could fire up in any combination or all 3 at once. Hormones released during orgasm, such as oxytocin and dopamine, also prime us for bonding with our partners. And this is when it gets interesting, and it's something I've mentioned many times before. Sex is more than just a physical act. Dr. Stephen A. Diamond, Stephen, on Psychology of Sex, describes it as such. Sex is a way of lessening our alienation, isolation, and aloneness by physically connecting with, penetrating, guys, or being penetrated by, ladies, another person at the most primal level of existence. Sex substantiates, humanizes, and incarnates existence. It produces joy, love, comfort, affection, and sometimes ecstasy. Sex was designed for you to bond. That is why God made it feel so good. There's a reason why it's made that way. And it's funny, you see this, right? People that tend to sleep around, those are the ones that are getting STDs and other illnesses that are transmitted through sex. But, you go back in the day, or now even, couples that value themselves, that maybe have 1 or 2 sexual partners, they get married young, or they end up together long term and they're both faithful, they don't really get any STDs because they're not sleeping around with other people. I mean, the truth is, right in plain sight. This is some deep stuff, and yet our lax views of sex could be damaging not only for society as a whole, but there are negative impacts on our brains if we overdo it. So now we're going to get into pair bonding. This is when it gets interesting. Research from the Medical Institute for Sexual Health goes on to illustrate the importance of oxytocin when it comes to bonding. Casual sex leads to a decrease in this neurochemical production and interferes with what is called pair bonding. Repeated sexual encounters with multiple partners rewires the brain. This is why I always tell you men, avoid getting into a relationship with a woman who has a high body count, because she cannot connect with you on an intimate level. It's already rewired her brain, and it's going to make it difficult to build that bond with you for long-lasting respect, love, and dependence on you. It's just not going to happen. This is why when you meet a woman and she's spreading her legs with you on the first date, why is she doing that? Because she's done it before, and before, and before. She's done it so many times that to her, sex has lost its value, its importance. It has become something trivial, like any other basic activity. Whereas, on the other hand, if a woman values herself, she's going to be careful to even give her that side of her body to you, because she knows if she sleeps with you, she's going to form an emotional bond, because she can pair bond. So a woman that has slept with a few partners is always going to be much higher quality than a woman that's in double digits, even triple digits. I mean, that goes without saying that they're completely disqualified. Men only go for women that you can count their sexual partners on one hand, or they're a virgin. It's one or the other. Okay, if she's had one boyfriend in college, one boyfriend in high school, another boyfriend at university, there's nothing wrong with that, because she's done the deed in the confines of a committed relationship, getting to know the guy. Whereas on the other hand, a woman that engages in casual sex and one night stands, that is a female that has already ruined her ability to pair bond, which is why she's engaging in that activity that many times. It's pretty simple, but that's really what it comes down to. And you can disqualify women by asking her a simple question when you start dating. Because if you have high standards, you want a good match, right? So don't waste your time or be too scared to say anything. Be upfront. Tell her, well, tell me about your sexual past. How many guys have you been with? This is what you'll notice. Good quality females, they will tell you, well, you know, I had one guy in college, one guy in high school, it didn't really work out, and since then I've just been single. I've only been with two guys. She will tell you without any fear. Whereas the promiscuous girls, when you ask them, they will tell you, that's none of your business. I don't need to tell you that. Yeah, because she's slept with so many different guys that if she were to tell you a number or a rough estimate, you would instantly turn around and walk away. Everybody knows it's wrong. It's immoral. Okay? If you don't value yourself, nobody else is going to value you. So for you young ladies watching, don't give your body out to just any man, because that's something very sacred. And the more partners you sleep with, it's going to rewire your brain. When an individual chooses to engage in casual sex, breaking bond after bond with each new sexual partner, the brain forms a new synaptic map of one-night stands. This pattern becomes the new normal for the individual. When and if the individual later desires to find a more permanent partner, the brain mapping will have to be overcome, making a permanent bond more difficult to achieve. Notice how it says individual, because it doesn't just go for women, it goes for men as well. If you are a guy who lives a life for pleasure and you think you're really awesome because you sleep with different women every weekend, eventually that will come back to haunt you, because what will happen is your ability to pair bond will also be destroyed. Because if you keep engaging with in promiscuous behavior, you become promiscuous because ultimately you are what you do repeatedly. That becomes you. And this is why a lot of women will date a guy and find out he's cheating on her because he was never able to bond with her. He needs to get a new hit of oxytocin and dopamine by sleeping around. The same way you guys will get involved with a woman, you think you have this wonderful relationship, and then she cheats on you with a co-worker or with, some other stranger. And you don't understand why. It's because she couldn't pair bond with you. She's looking outside to meet a new hit of oxytocin and dopamine because the rush she gets with you doesn't give her a feeling of connection or intimacy because she's lost the ability to pair bond. Think of it like a drug addict. They have, a little bit of cocaine. It gives them a hit. And then each time they consume it, they go higher and higher. They consume more of it, to feel pleasure, to stimulate their brain. Because it's not the same as the first hit. They need more and more and more until eventually they destroy it. That pleasure center in their brain, it gets fried to the point where it's broken. And it's the same thing if you engage in casual sex. You will ruin yourself, man or woman. And this is why ladies will meet a guy and they're like, I don't understand, he doesn't seem connected to me. He doesn't seem like he's taking me serious. Because he can't pair bond. Men or women, you engage in casual sex enough times, you'll ruin your self-worth forever. You will ruin the ability for your brain to form deep-rooted emotional connections. That's why promiscuous people you want to avoid. Now we're going to get into effects on mental health. In one study, those who had more sex without strings attached were found to be, on average, less satisfied with their love lives compared to young adults who had sex frequently in a committed romantic relationship. A man and a woman that are able to pair bond and they come together, they're much more likely to have a relationship based on faithfulness, honesty, and integrity that will stand the test of time. That's just the way it is. This is why you need to learn about red flags, and whether you're a man or a woman, you must disqualify somebody that you're dating if you see that they're not right for you. Not all hookups are created equal. It varies greatly depending on the individual and circumstances. Some have a positive response and feel better about themselves. Interestingly, those who had feelings of loneliness and depression to begin with reported a reduction in negative emotions afterwards. But there are downsides, where participants who engaged in casual sex reported an increase in both depressive symptoms and feelings of loneliness. Negative feelings also include guilt, regret, and low self-esteem. Another study adds to this and points to low levels of happiness and high anxiety and depression levels. Guys, there's links here on the actual articles that I'm reading where you click on it and it will pop up with another article giving you more information. Perhaps the most alarming finding is how some people may tend to engage in casual sex even if they do not feel comfortable doing so. That's what happens with society. You see everybody else do it, you eventually get conditioned to give it a go, and you feel guilty because deep down it goes against your morals. A misperception of sexual norms is one potential driver for people to behave in ways they do not personally endorse. Is hookup culture wrong? Will children growing up in a world of technology, inundated with choices and instant gratification that extends to sexuality, I am concerned with trends going forward, she says. So do I. I'm also concerned. Even adults struggle with online addictions and have a hard time with the influx of dopamine hits. How can we expect developing minds to cope in a responsible and healthy manner? While I don't advocate abstinence or waiting for marriage, I'd hope that when my kids are old enough to experiment, they can be more mindful of what they consume and of who they share their bodies with, especially when the dating pool horizons have expanded into the World Wide Web. As with anything in life, I believe less is more. In response to his thoughts on promiscuity, I agree with Sadhguru's words. Do not know who it is, but this is the quote. It is not a question of morality, but a question of how to live sensibly. What are the takeaways? In conclusion, science says it loud and clear. We are meant to bond with one another when we have sex, whether in a committed or non-committed relationship. Casual sex bypasses the human need to engage emotionally and develop intimacy. Hooking up is not an issue in itself as long as it isn't overdone. But how casual sex is increasingly seen as a social norm should raise questions. How much is too much? Shouldn't the standard be to foster meaningful relationships? Absolutely. You meet someone, you guys start dating, you become intimate, a couple months down the road you move into a relationship. That's how it should progress. But when you treat sex as like you're going to the shop to buy an ice cream, then it loses its meaning. Because sex is meant for you to bond with that woman. And for you ladies, sex is meant for you to bond with that man. It should lead to a relationship. There are consequences beyond the physical that aren't immediately noticeable. The truth is that people can damage their ability to bond, but it's not because of a decrease in oxytocin production. It's a much more complicated process involving brain molding, other neurochemicals, and higher brain functions. This is why this runs deep. In a rare project spanning across generations conducted by the Harvard Study of Adult Development, 724 men's lives were tracked for 75 days. Psychiatrist Robert Waldinger summarizes the findings in his TED Talk. What makes a good life? That's the TED Talk. Lessons from the longest study of happiness. This is what he says. The clearest message that we get from this 75-year study is this: good relationships keep us happier and healthier, period. Amen. What matters the most is the quality of those relationships. Who you get laid with is no exception. On the science of monogamy, scientists examined data from 16,000 Americans to answer the question, how many sexual partners does it take to maximize happiness? The answer, one person per year, one partner per year. Dating apps may have expanded your reach and increased your potential to have sex with more partners, but playing the numbers game can be a significant disadvantage in the long run. We don't take one another seriously if we do not feel a perceived lack of options for dating, because there is always availability elsewhere. You can easily ghost someone or swipe for the next match, but doing so makes instant messaging for sex premeditated and robotic in nature. How can a person so readily exchange bodily fluids with another but fall through with communication and connection? It has become backwards. Research has shown that social media and technology have extended our social network and a number of interpersonal interactions. However, moving our relationships to digital environments and the growing use of digital technologies are also associated with less depth in our connections, increased loneliness, and less satisfaction with life. Using apps for the sole purpose of sleeping around without strings attached makes each potential match optional, sex transactional, and the act recreational. This commodification of dating and hookups, which has proliferated, is a culture that is harmful in excess. In a world connected globally, it appears we're more disconnected than ever. After all, there is nothing casual about sex. So, this video, I want you, after you finish watching, to read the article, click on all the links and do your own research. Because if you're a young man or a young lady watching, you can save yourself from ruining your ability to pair bond. Don't engage in casual sex. Value it for what it is. Be very careful of who you give your body to. This is how men and women end up single dads, single mums. They get married to the wrong person. You build a connection with the wrong person. And then you're miserable, which lowers your life expectancy, destroys your mental health. If you're a man, you will lose your masculinity. And if you're a woman, your femininity will die out. Choose wisely who you give your body to. Be very careful of who you choose to date. Because if you're not happy in your relationship, you'll never be happy. And having good people in your life, friends and family, and especially in this case when it comes to your intimate life, guys, having a good woman in your life will add a lot of joy. And ladies, having a great man will add a lot of happiness. And that's really what it comes down to. Okay? As long as there's men and women in the world, people are going to date, people are going to hook up, and they're going to get into relationships. But you want to do it the right way. Now, if you have any more questions in regards to pair bonding, or you have any other video suggestions, let me know in the comment section down below. Of course, share this video with anyone who may benefit from it. And if you are a new subscriber, I welcome you to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, then by all means hit the subscribe button. My channel, I talk a lot about dating, relationships, self-improvement. And if you would like to reach out to me privately, the email will also be in the description, where you can send me your situation, or you would like to reach out for a coaching call, or you can do it over there. And with that said, hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.